Trail Seeker Adventures packs up the Trail Seeker 1 and heads over the mountain to
Round 8 of the SXCS at Wicomico,
where they had trail rides for the families, a pumpkin race, a pit bike race, where not everything went as planned,
and we had costume contests and trick-or-treating for the kids.
and Sunday's race day, and it's a GP. I raced both my 2-stroke and my 4-stroke. No, not at the same time. Come along and see what the round 8 of the SXCS is all about. That's right, Heidi and I pack up the Trail Seeker 1 and head over the mountain to Charlotte Hall, Maryland for round 8 of the SXCS. It's a beautiful drive over the mountain. This time of year, I love driving in the fall. But let's talk about what the SXCS has to offer on Saturday. Saturday they have a trail ride. Even if you're not going to race on Sunday, you can come out and enjoy the trails with your family and friends on Saturday. Come out and try out and test your bike for race day, or just get out with your family and hit the trails. This gives everybody the opportunity to get out and hit the trails, even if you're not a racer. Nice!
Up next is a pumpkin race. They have youth, family, women, and adult, and it is so much fun. 2 riders take on the challenge. The first rider's at the bike. The second rider is going to go grab the pumpkin, get on the back of the bike, do 1 lap without dropping the pumpkin, get to the finish, switch riders, hold on to the pumpkin. First one back across that finish line and still holding the pumpkin wins the race. This year, I was with my good friend Nancy, who was a little weary at first and was giving me a lot of direction in my ear. She said, don't be too aggressive and don't jump, and I'm not sure what else she said. So we came in pretty good. She did the first lap, had a pretty good pumpkin switch. I got on the bike, made a pass, and we ended up 3rd in our class. But it was a fun time for sure.
If that's not enough, now it's the pit bike race. They have classes for everyone, and the Cheney brothers was ripping up the course on their Kawasaki 110s, and little did we know, we was going to have the opportunity to test out their ride. Heidi got a good jump on Moto 1 with the Trail Seeker 1 SSR 150. She was looking good, coming around on her first lap, and unfortunately, the throttle cable broke. The SSR 150 was done for the evening. The Cheneys brought out their full factory 110 Kawasaki ride for Heidi to do Moto 2.
Pit bike race is one of my favorites, and Trail Pros Billy Slag did not disappoint on this racetrack. Second moto, I'm on the 110 of the Cheney factory race bike, and had a little, you had to get used to it a little bit, but once I got it, I was on the throttle.
There we go.
The crowd was on the edge of their seat, things were flying in the air, and so weren't the bikes. It was a good time, a packed house of 9 women riders and a few girls. Great time as always. I finished not so good on the first moto, but second moto I got 4th.
Now it's my turn to try out the Kawasaki 110. I want to give a big thanks to the Cheneys for letting Heidi and I come out here and rip up on their little Kawasaki 110s. I'm going to take you around 1 lap of the SXCS round 8 pit bike course. Didn't start out too bad considering the size of the bike. These long straightaways, I definitely needed a little more power and a little more leg room. Made several laps of this thing, started to figure out the turns. I did fall over a few times, but other than that, came home 4th for the evening. And that was 1 lap at the round 8 SXCS pit bike course. Make sure you come out for round 9, as I just about took out Dan, if you want to try your hand at a pit bike race. And now it's trick or treat. Yes, trick or treat. There's many different costume contests going on, whether it's for your dog or your family member. And yes, even Corona showed up. I stayed my distance just in case. Fun time had by all. They even had a best pit decoration contest. And now it's time for trick-or-treating. Every kid loves trick-or-treating. But now it's race day, Sunday. And they started out the day with the youth. This is the trail bike class. And what a class they had. This class keeps growing every race. After they take off, the 50s come out and they had their own separate course for these little guys and gals to get out and rip up. They had a nice tight little wood section, a field section, and these kids were coming around with smiles on their faces. What a great opportunity to have your young ones coming out and rip up the track. This is a GP, so this is Moto 1 of 2. And now it's the morning race, and this is the open class. The reason the open class starts in the morning race, it gives you the opportunity to do what they call the Ironman. The Ironman is when you race 3 separate events, and whoever gets the most laps in the shortest period of time wins the Ironman award. You want to say something on the video?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we'll see ya. During the morning race, I get to hang out with other racers and watch the youth and the Sea Riders and the vintage get out and tackle the track. The way the GP works, you run 2 30-minute motos. You can sign up for many different classes. I have signed up for 2 classes. I'm going to run my 2020 Beta 300RR in the 50A class, and I'm going to run my 430 RR race in the 40A class. That way I can look at the times and see which one I'm faster on. If you haven't been on a bike for a while, what a great opportunity to get out and hit the track.
It's my time to line up on the GP Moto 1. There was 11 girls in the C class and 3 women in my class, which is women 40. The old Beta 300 X-Trainer hooked up on these starts. The first start, I was off the line first, but kind of eased on the throttle around the curve, got a little nervous. Ended up maybe 3rd or 4th, I think 4th, couldn't tell, off Moto 1, but Moto 2, that Beta hooked up again. I was fast on the throttle and was first on the whole shot and did pretty well. The course was a lot of fun. We had some roots and stuff, but the Beta tore it up, no problem. Traction was awesome, and I finished 2nd for the day. I want to give a shout out to Lori, who finished 1st in our class and even stopped to help Olivia when she was having some trouble. And Olivia, awesome job. First time getting a checkered flag, and she did it on the Moto 1 and Moto 2. Great job, girls.
I love being able to get out here and watch Heidi race. She's getting faster every time she throws her legs over the bike. And just seeing her come into the checkered with a smile on her face makes it worth it all. But now it's my turn to hit the track. This is 50A. I start about the 4th row back. I'm on my 2020 Beta 300RR 2-stroke. I'm going to give you a full lap on the 2-stroke and a full lap on the 430 4-stroke, and then I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison at the end. That way you can see what the difference is between the times on the 300 and the 430. One thing is for sure, the 300 is fast off the start. This is Moto 2. Perry Brown gets the whole shot. I'm on pursuit. The reason why I am showing you Moto 2 is because I forgot to push record on Moto 1. But we have Perry Brown, as you can see, he's in front. Richard Hutcherson and Mitch Piper. I see a Pat on here was a DNF. I hope he's okay if he did race. This is the Super Senior A 50 plus. As we wrap up the little first section of the moto track and we head into the woods. The GP, as I was saying, is a 30-minute moto. The track's usually around 3 miles. It's usually not as technical, or why I can't say that word. Usually not as technical, and usually not as long. We usually give 3 or 4, sometimes 5 laps in the 30 minutes, depends on how fast you are. You do that, you go back, you take a break, wait till your class comes up again, and then you go out for Moto 2. You can do that. Usually you can get about 3 different classes in. That's why they put the open class in the morning. You can come out and run the open class, which I have done many times, but with my shoulder injury that's not wanting to heal, I need to save some energy so I can get out here and fight with these other young men. The course was primo. It rained and rained and rained on Friday night until Saturday morning. But this property is layered with sand over top of clay. There were definitely some ruts out there, as you can see, but it dried up quite nicely, and I would say this is the best that Wicomico Raceway has ever been as far as race day. We've been here when it's been snowing and icing on some hangover races. It's usually muddy, but this weekend was primo. The course was pretty fast. The only thing that really slowed you down was, other than a few trees and turns, was the ruts. You wanted to be clever and watch out for some of the holes that developed in the ruts. As I come ripping through the woods on the 300RR, it's feeling pretty good. The one thing I'm not as comfortable on this bike is jumping. I'd much rather jump my 4-stroke than my 2-stroke. I feel much more controlled in the air with the 4-stroke. I'm going to be able to compare the times between the 2-stroke and the 4-stroke and see which one I feel faster. Well, I know which one I feel faster on, but just because you feel faster on a bike doesn't mean your times will be faster on a bike. So I'm curious to find out at the end of the day which one I was actually faster on. And as I said earlier, I'm going to do a full lap with the 2-stroke, then I'll do a full lap with the 4-stroke. That's going to give you a good opportunity to see what the track conditions was like. That way you can see if a GP is for you. Make sure you check out round 9 for the SXCS. It's going to be in the Richmond, Virginia area. If you haven't been on a bike for a while, or if you run motocross and you want to come out and try your hand at racing through the woods, this is the perfect opportunity. And this is what Trail Seeker Adventure does. They bring their camera out to these race events, bring the information back to you. That way you can see if this event is something that you're interested in before you even get off the couch and load your bike. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, and make sure you say hey if you see us at the track. We love talking to you. This section, for some odd reason, I felt super slow on both the 2-stroke and the 4-stroke. I don't know if it's because it was a little wet, it was flat with no ruts, but I definitely felt slow through that area. Getting ready to dip back into the woods just for a second before we come out. Wicomico Rod Park has 2 different moto tracks. The first one that we just came off of was the youth track, and now we're coming out to the adult track. I seen Billy on his dozer out here freshening up the track, and it was awesome. I'm not much of a jumper, but today the track was in such good shape, even I was able to get off the ground a little bit. A couple little tabletops. Now, for some odd reason, this tabletop, the first moto on the 300, I was able to clear it, but I over jumped it, messed me up for this jump. But then the next time I came around, I didn't jump far enough, bounced off of it, and it messed me up for that double again. The rest of the day, I decided just to do what basically is a little triple or a little double instead of clearing the tabletop, and that way I wasn't going to lose time when I messed myself up on the next little double. And that was 1 full lap on the 300 with the 50A plus. Now it's time for the 430. If you've ever watched my video, it's a slow starter, but usually not this slow. For some odd reason, she didn't want to fire up. Now this is Moto 1 in the 40A class. And those 2 little dots way up here on the track, one of them is Jeffrey Flynn. We've raced several times this past summer, and Perry Brown's back in front of me again. Definitely like jumping the 4-stroke better than the 2-stroke. Once I got in the woods, I even liked the 4-stroke better in the woods. I finally got these bikes feeling pretty good. Typically run the 2-stroke if it's a mudder or a real tight technical course, or if it's rocky. But if it's a fast open track, I definitely like my 430 4-stroke. This is a little wood section between the adult moto track. Now we're popping out here on the youth moto track just for a second. If you race this race, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about the track. Perry Brown is definitely on the move, looking good. I always lose time on a 430, and there's been races that I decided not to race the 430 just because it was slow off the start. But the last few races, every time I ran the 430, yeah, it's slow off the start, but I usually can make it up fairly quickly if I'm going to be able to. And what I mean by that, if the guy's faster than me, he's going to be faster than me. If I'm faster than somebody else in my class, eventually, most of the time it's a 2-hour event. I can work my way around. I'm not sure if Perry was tired of hearing me behind him, but he was a gentleman. Took the slower lane, let me get around him. The track had many different lines. I typically stick with a line if it's working for me. Unfortunately, a few times I stuck with a line all day until the very last lap, and I found that the line that I was using was not the better line. But that happens. As I was saying, at the end of this video, I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison. That way you can see where I make time with the 2-stroke, lose time with the 4-stroke. I actually make up the time that I lost and actually gain time on the 2-stroke. This is something I thought might be interesting. Let me know whether or not when you get to it you like the comparison, or is it just too much to watch both bikes at the same time. Unfortunately, with a GP, I don't pass a lot of people, and not a lot of passing gets done with me. So I don't have the opportunity really to show a lot of people out on the track, whether I'm passing them or they're passing me. So this is going to be a little shorter, but it's mostly just to give you an opportunity to see what a GP is all about. As I was saying earlier, if you've not raced very much, you're not in that great a shape, or if you're new to racing woods, this is a great opportunity to get out on the track, dust that bike off, and rip up some dirt. If this looks like something you would enjoy doing, make sure you check out the last round, and actually it's going to be considered the second round of 2022 race series. I'll explain that here in a bit. At Petersburg, Virginia, it's just below Richmond, and that's going to be on November 21st, 2021. The SXCS is changing up their schedule a little bit. In case you haven't heard, this round, which is round 8, is actually going to be round 1. Also, you'll get points, or we got points for round 1 for the 2022 season, and then round 9 is going to be round 2. Also, you'll be able to get points both for round 9 of the 2021 season, and also points for round 2 of the 2022 season. And the reason why I've heard that they're wanting to do this, they're wanting to split up the race season to try to not interfere with other race series. So they're going to do some of their races in 2022 and 2021, and then finish out the year at the beginning part of 2022, and then the races in the end of 2022 will be the beginning race rounds of 2023. It's a little confusing, but it's to try to get in between the other race series. That way you have the opportunity to come out and check out their tracks. That was one lap with the 430 RR. Now let's do a side-by-side comparison. As I do the little double jump going into the woods right off the start, the 4-stroke is on the left with the bar pad. The 2-stroke is on the right with the steering stabilizer. Came in the woods side by side, but already the 2-stroke's starting to jump out with a little lead. This is Moto 2 with a 2-stroke, and I believe it's Moto 1 with a 4-stroke. As we jump back out into the youth moto track, I'm already probably about 2 seconds behind on the 4-stroke on the left. In the woods here, I actually make a little mistake with the 2-stroke on the right. of shows you also, you get an opportunity to see how much one little wobble makes a difference. Every second counts. If you could gain 1 second in every turn, just imagine how many turns there is out here in the woods, and by the time you make a full lap, you would be minutes ahead if you just possibly make up 1 second in every turn. And for me, sometimes it's a mental game. Sometimes when you're not out there with other riders, like with this GP or even a sprint enduro, you don't have the motivation of seeing your race ahead of you as far as competition. In the 40A class, I was the front row and I had nobody in front of me. In the 50A, we was the fourth line. Did make a few passes, but for the most of the day, I was out here and I did not see no other riders. You had to physically remind yourself to twist that throttle out of every turn. Now I'm actually ahead with the 4-stroke on the left. I'd say I'm about a second or two ahead of the 2-stroke. So they're pretty close in time. And actually, when I looked at my results, I was faster with the 4-stroke at the end of the day, but it wasn't by much. Just a few seconds on each lap here or there. I believe maybe on the 2-stroke I was a second or two faster on a couple laps, but for the most part I was faster on the 4-stroke. So it really just depends on the track conditions, which bike I'm going to run. But I just found that was a little interesting. So as we wrap up this video, I'm coming in with the 430. That would have been my weapon of choice on this race weekend if I had to pick one. The 300 was really close. In times I just felt better here on the moto track with the 430. Still having a little shoulder issues, but hopefully over the winter break the old body will heal itself a little bit so I can get out here and last the entire 2 hours on an event. I basically ran 2 hours, and usually about the last lap and a half I was having some shoulder pain, but we'll get that taken care of. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. That way we know that we're doing something that you all enjoy watching. Make sure you come out to round 9 of the SXCS, southern part of Richmond, Virginia. Give yourself an opportunity to see what the SXCS GP is all about. Catch you at the next one. Tap the subscribe button in the middle of the page or watch another video.